Good
Good
morning.
morning.
It is January 27th, 2026, and today is the first Taco Tuesday of the year. I'm very excited to be joined by four of our excellent vendor partners today for another Taco Tuesday session. We are going to dive right in, though. I'm going to turn things over to Brad Gray, coming to us from AWE Learning. And let me stop my share so Brad can take over.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. I'm going to share my screen, and then I'll do my introduction here. So, Jeff, let me know when you can see me or see my goods here.
I see it.
Okay. Well, thanks, everybody, for joining. I'm Brad Gray at AWE Learning. You may recognize me. I've been on and fortunately been invited to come in on a somewhat quarterly basis. And I've worked with Jeff for, 15 years maybe or more. So it is a privilege to be here. I'm going to spend tonight talking about AWE Learning and how we serve libraries related to early literacy and play-based learning. And we'll explain that as we go along, and then how we do that. It's a play-based education is a really great thing for youth services in the library. And so I want to make sure you understand the basics of it if you don't, and then also how AWE has spent over 30 years doing this very thing and serving the libraries in Wisconsin and around the world. So we've been in business for over 30 years, and we've had many, many versions of our software, all focused specifically on literacy, and particularly literacy for the pre-reader age groups is all the way through about fourth grade. So we talk about serving age levels 2 to 12-year-olds, knowing that, some kids are well beyond their age, but then some are struggling readers or reluctant readers or need a little help in certain aspects of the stream education of which we serve. And we've been part of Wisconsin public libraries and schools for decades. And so we have over 110 Wisconsin libraries that have active learning solutions with us, variety of versions of our workstation, but all focusing on school readiness and literacy in their community. What we do is we focus on a workstation that helps that learner, that young person, with preloaded, pre-curated, and immediately accessible content. So the youth programming staff can program this by just putting it in the children's section, turning it on, and kids just gravitate to it. It's plain and simple. And then they find what they're looking for, and then they're working across the stream-based subject matters, whether they know they're doing that or not. And they don't need to read, and they don't need to take tests to advance. And there's certainly no logins or any personal information that is stored about that individual. It's totally a discovery-based experience for them. So I mentioned I was going to talk about that just for a second. So in this presentation deck, I'm not going to read the whole slide and all the other aspects of it, so I can get to the more youth leadership ways to promote this for yourself. But the basics is that you guide the experience by giving access to the individual young person and then letting them just go. So they feel totally empowered to be able to build their own confidence in playing the games, learning how to write, playing the drums, painting on screen, all these different things based on the type of learning style that they enjoy, whether they're visual learners like myself, or they are logical, or they really like to focus on a process. It just depends. We serve all of that based on how the software is aligned and set up, and then formatted to be on the screen so it's consistent across the games and the learning that is included in the particular content that you add. One of the things that's been asked for, particularly by Wisconsin libraries, and particularly by those that have had AWE learning for quite a number of years in that number of versions, is how they can build the sheer volume of use that these kids enjoy into their youth programming. So this slide here represents just a couple of the tools that are built into the solution, the workstation that is there, to help you build out a youth programming system based on activities or utilities that you can set up and then guide the kids to more directed learning. So we have like a file. I just sent this to a library this morning that shows all of the titles that would be in our potential options for the way you can configure the system, and then how it's aligned to the stream education, the age, the description, and then also if they wanted to filter. So if they're doing a program specifically for a group of age groups, they can tailor it down if they so choose. And that is where the customized scheduling comes in. You can set up a PEP, personalized education program. It's kind of a school term, but really it means customized schedule themes. You can set up a theme that's of your use. Like the most common thing is, let's say, summer reading. So what your summer reading theme was going to be, you can go in here, search for the age groups that you wanted to serve. It'll list all the content, and you can just drag over the content you want to have displayed during a certain period of time, so it can customize the experience. So they don't see everything, they see what you want to for that particular area, if you want to guide them further than just the general availability. Another area that's really interesting that people ask about all the time, particularly when we're at like events and we're showing the site themselves and they're asking about it, is that you can set the sound levels for those young little ears, whether they're using headphones or not, to set the volume. This is particularly important so the software doesn't blast them in their little ears, or it's not too quiet so they can't hear it. And also importantly, there are a number of libraries that don't use the headphones and it's just playing, out of the sound of the workstation, or if they've plugged in external speakers. And this way they can set the maximum volume so it doesn't overly disturb the youth desk, because usually they're positioned by where the youth staff are located, and or that it doesn't impact others in the library, to say it nicely. You also can set screen times. This is something that a lot of folks don't realize you can do in the system. And this is really important, particularly because they're so popular. This way you can set a time limit that will session out that particular child from what they're doing so others can do it. The others can learn it. And just from experience, those that have that session time limit, but there's nobody waiting, the kids just don't care. It'll end, they'll go right back in and then find it and go right back to it without any interruption. And it's because of its display-based discovery again. It just helps them with that access to the titles that they like. If you were able to add the internet to your workstation, the workstation runs offline. It's all preloaded. There's no need for internet. There's no need for this child to have anything more than just is built into the programs and the computer itself. If they were to have the internet turned on, you can action and enable additional websites that are curated, like the Air and Space Museum is one. But we've locked those websites so they can't access the browser or go to a third-party link. So it's just confined to the content that's built into the software on that particular website. And there's also some video that follows the same format that they can access it, but they can't use it as a way to get out of the AWE learning environment to get to a browser to do something else and or something they probably shouldn't be doing. So there are a number of different tools that you can set up to help plan that forward. All right. This is just a little bit more. This is more for the follow-up of the information deck that I give to Jeff, and he can route around to folks that explains how that customized theming is working, how to activate that extra content that I just referenced if you're on the Wi-Fi, and a little bit more background about what we're offering in our current versions of the software. If you're not totally familiar with that, way that AWE works is that when you have a workstation, you identify the core content bundles that serve the community that you're intending for. And we have a number of different bundles that you can kind of mix and match together, and they all integrate together. And then so the child sees the full range of what is there. In our current versions that we're offering, when you should buy a new one, includes Windows 11, which is super important to have for the security, the speed, the reliability of the particular computer that you've got, and it matches other IT-based rules that are in many libraries in Wisconsin and elsewhere that want to have the Windows 11 technology built in. We've also talked about the administrative tools. There's also a customer portal that comes in, or a partner portal, where you can go in and manage the various workstations that you have and run statistics and update people who have access to it on the library side, and et cetera. One of the key things, if you have our service and you're familiar with it, one of the things that we've really added as a value in Platinum version 4 is the fact that not all of our users, in fact, probably a large number of them, can't read. And so we've added a pre-K or a pre-reader section where it takes the appropriate age range software titles and makes the icons bigger. So it's like an environment for them where they can just go on and search through them and click on it, and it starts for them without having to see them all on screen in smaller icons and needing some help with some reading if they don't do it. And this is sort of. So one of the things I wanted to finish on, since I know we have a short amount of time here, is that from the business side, we want to help you as best as we can get the most out of your service. So if you have our program now, it's probably worth a health check and a little tune-up to help you with some ideas to how kids can use it and or the administrative tools. But as far as the purchasing side, if you're looking to upgrade or add content to your existing machines or replace the machines, we do offer a number of different helps from the financial side to help you, and particularly the WiLS cooperative purchasing incentives that we offer to everybody that's a WiLS member, which is we're pleased to participate in. And I am a primary contact. I also know how to do all the training and can help anybody. Particularly, I'm familiar with the systems and all the different things that go along within the state of Wisconsin. So I'm here to help on that respect as well. So with that, I'm going to leave it and turn it back to Jeff so he can have his final comments and then move on to the next presenter. So thanks again, everybody, for your time.
Thank you very much, Brad. It's always a pleasure to have you here to talk to us about AWE learning. I know that we're getting more and more contacts in our public libraries. We've got more and more public libraries taking advantage of WiLS cooperative purchasing. So I think it's really important that we're talking about those resources that are best, that are tailored for them specifically. So you're always right there with us to make sure that they're seeing what some of the benefits they can get through membership.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Brad. We're gonna give it maybe like a minute here because our 11:45 presenter isn't here quite yet. But I wonder if just in case. Okay, so we'll give it another minute. If that doesn't happen, then I think we're going to ask Jesse Bird to just move up and take the slot so that we can keep rolling forward.
So Jeff, something to mention maybe in this little like an advertisement for your site, because it's rare, is that the WiLS cooperative purchasing site typically has a site for each of us cooperative vendors, and then we've identified our products to give more detail on what's going on what we're talking about offline. So that's a great utility. I wish all of our statewide folks had something like that. So just
Well,
a shout out to you guys for that.
thank you, Brad. I appreciate that very much. Yes, please do go to wills.org. Check out our cooperative purchasing list of vendors and products. We do try and keep some good information there for our members and users. Thanks, Brad. All right, I actually here's Victor. So I think we're ready to get going on our next presenter. I am going to just very briefly throw my screen up just so that we have a kind of a starting point. And our next presenter here for Taco Tuesday is Victor, who comes to us from Scribble. Hi, Victor. Are you ready to take over?
Just about. I'm gonna just make sure I've got the right windows to ready to share.
All
But
right.
yes, I think I'm ready to go. Thank you for having
Okay.
us.
It's our pleasure. Over to you.
All right. So, great to be with you all again. Happy New Year. Hope everybody's 2026 is off to a great start. Jeff, as always, we love partnering with Wills, and I'm here to give a bit of a recap of what we do for folks that maybe haven't heard of us before, but I've got some new information and updates that I'll pepper in as well. We work really, really closely with librarians across the country, and Wisconsin's actually kind of a focus state for us. So we're actually going to be spending more time in Wisconsin going forward. We just got a session approved for presenting at WEMTA, so we're going to be there for the first time this year, which we're really excited about coming up in some weeks. But I'm Victor, co-founder and CEO of Scribble. We have built the most comprehensive research and writing platform anyone's ever built. I know that's a big statement, but I think it's true. And we've been really fortunate to have some great funding partners, such as the National Science Foundation and the Department of Education. Given that our time is short, I'll probably try to kind of zip through some of this. For folks that are not familiar with us, when people ask, what is Scribble? I like to think of it in sort of two parts. One is kind of in a more specific way, which is to say that we are an advanced platform to support writing instruction and responsible AI use. And given particularly the audience here, I might say advanced platform to support not just writing, but source-based writing, which involves research. And then at a higher level, we tend to think of ourselves as infrastructure to develop critical thinking and communication skills. One of the reasons for that is that I guess I like to say that I like to frame the work we do by kind of quoting David McCullough, who says writing is thinking. To write well is to think clearly, and that's why it's so hard. And we know that that's a really important skill set that we need to instill in students across the board. Unfortunately, the data has shown for a very long time that over half our kids in secondary across the country struggle with research skills, and they're not ready for college level writing. And it's a multifactorial problem. There's lots of reasons why this sort of is the status quo. And what we've been doing is really trying to address some of the key challenges. So the one I'll probably spend the most time on, just to give folks an overview, is really just how the work has been done, which is something that librarians, have helped students with forever, and they co-teach and co-work with teachers on helping students through that kind of source-based writing process or research and writing process. So complex for workflows is kind of the big thing, and the work that we've been doing for quite a long time. Beyond that, there's been a new challenge that has been posed to educators around AI plagiarism, which I'm sure everybody's familiar with now. And I'll just touch upon that quickly. And then what we probably won't have a lot of time to talk about, but I think if you are a librarian, you would really appreciate seeing this. There's a new challenge that's presented with the advent of AI, and that is, how do you actually use AI responsibly in the research and writing process? And that is something that we are very focused on, and we have actually created a new embedded chatbot within Scribble that we just released a few months ago. And so I'll try to touch upon that as well. So let's get to the core of what we've been doing, even before ChatGPT launched, which is really helping with the workflows around the research and writing process. So when you think about what a heavy lift it is for students and educators to go through that process, this is something that we've been addressing for quite a long time. If you think about that process, there's lots of steps involved, right? Students have to curate their sources, annotate their evidence, cite their sources, build an outline, build a bibliography, write a draft, and so forth. And historically, educators, meaning teachers and librarians, and students that work with them have had to cobble together a lot of different tools to get through that workflow. So citation tool, PDF annotation tool for database articles, web clipper for internet sources, and so forth. And unfortunately, that makes it a very fragmented workflow. It makes it process intensive and time consuming. And it makes it hard for students to stay organized and hard for teachers and librarians to be able to see that work and access it and provide timely feedback because all that student work and data is trapped in these different data silos and these different ways of working. And so our answer to that has really been to kind of bring all those tools together under one roof, under Scrible, which is why we call it a super app for research and writing. In the interest of time, I'm going to skip showing you this brief 2-minute product explainer video, but maybe in the follow-up email from this Taco Tuesday, maybe Jeff can include this as a link so you can watch it later. And instead of that, what I wanted to do is just quickly give you a very high-level overview of what the experience would be like if you're a student, and then very quickly what the experience would be like if you're a teacher or librarian on the educator side using the platform to support students through a research and writing project. So let's look at the student side first really quickly. In this example, I'm going to kind of present this in 3 stages as a student. So as a student in stage 1, I'm out there doing research and curating my sources and whatnot. And in our world, what happens is that when a student is out there doing that, they would click on our browser extension if they're looking at an article either online or in a database. And that browser extension is not shown here, but when you click on that browser extension, let's say when you're looking at an article like the one that you see here, 3 things happen. First, this article gets saved to my Scribble library in the cloud in about 1 or 2 seconds. So as a student, you've curated the source. The second thing that happens is that we float this overlay over the article that has a number of annotation tools, has a sidebar for comments and citations and other things, and a set of accessibility tools like read aloud translations and definitions as well. And all those things allow me as a student to be able to close read the article, annotate evidence, and so forth. The third thing that happens when I click on that browser extension is that we automatically extract citation information from the article on behalf of the student and save that along with the article in the library. And so you're able to basically cite the source. So that's stage 1. Stage 2 is I've done that work and I go to my library, which is what we call it online in my Scribble account for this particular assignment or for this particular project. And so that's what you're seeing here. This is an assignment library is what we would call it when the library is tied to an assignment. And as a student, I can see in different tabs, different parts of the kind of pre-writing process laid out. So under the sources tab, I can see all the sources I've curated. Under the annotations tab, I see a list view of all the different annotations I've made across all those sources. There's an outline editor under the outline tab, a bibliography editor under there, and then a documents tab shows basically the documents, for example, the Google Doc that you might be writing in for this particular assignment. And so all those different components are there. As a student, it becomes my sort of central hub to be able to organize my work, create my bibliography, create my outline, and view my document. And for every assignment, every student gets a separate library. So you kind of have everything housed neatly in one place and helps the students stay organized. And then when I'm in stage 3, I'm now actually, let's say in Google Docs, for example, but we do the same thing for Microsoft Word. And when I'm drafting my paper in, let's say, Google Docs, we have what's called an add-on for Google Docs, and we have something similar for Microsoft Word. And an add-on basically allows me as a student to pull up what we call Scribble Writer as a sidebar within Google Docs. And what we've done with this add-on real estate that Google gives us within Google Docs is taken some of the key tabs in your library, slimmed them down, and embedded them right here within the word processor. And so as a student, I'm able to quickly find all the information I need from within that sidebar because we full text index all the content in your library. And so you can quickly do a keyword search for something that you're looking for. We'll be able to show it under the sources tab. You can click on a little button next to it. We'll take that highlighted evidence, let's say that you found out of the article in your library, drop it into the paper, and I know it's probably hard to see here, but here it is, and then we insert it in text parenthetical citation and update the bibliography on the last page of the document. So it really makes it easy for you to be able to quickly and easily bring all your pre-writing work directly into the drafting of the paper when you get to that stage. So those are the kind of the 3 major stages from a student perspective. And then really quickly, maybe not going to as much detail given the time constraint, I'm going to give you a quick view of what you would see if you were co-teaching on an assignment in Scribble with a teacher. So the first thing is we give you access to the student's library the whole way through the whole assignment. So that means that you can jump into any student's assignment library and be able to see all the work in these different tabs. And this screenshot's a little outdated. We just recently made a really big update to the platform. So if you've looked at Scribble before and not used it, if you log in again, you're actually going to see a really new and sort of much improved interface, which looks more like this here. And so that's a big update that we were working on that we just released a few weeks ago in January of 2026. But anyway, the idea is still the same, which is basically that you've got different tabs here. And when you're co-teaching on an assignment, what you can do is basically jump into any student's library and see all the different components of their work as it's unfolding in real time. Now, when most people think about writing feedback, their brain immediately goes to, leaving comments in a Google Doc, or in the old days, red pen on paper, which makes sense. And we're not saying that that's a bad thing. But as everybody knows, particularly librarians, for source-based writing, which is a dominant form of writing we ask students to do in academia, if you don't have good sources, then you're going to have a hard time making great arguments. And so the work you do in the pre-writing process is super important, but there's never been historically a great central place to be able to see it, and to be able to kind of provide feedback on it before the student gets too far down that path. And so that's a gap that this fills. We really allow teachers and librarians to be able to see that work early on. We have a feedback messaging system that you can use to provide feedback on different parts of that process before students get into even writing the first word in the document. And then from all that work, we're able to pull together some really rich data dashboards that really give you real-time progress in a way that historically either hasn't been possible, or if you try to keep on top of it, frankly, it's very tedious and very time-consuming. So at an individual student level, for example, we can show you how many sources were curated or cited or words were written. Those are goals that you would have set for the assignment when you created it. Particularly for librarians, this might be really interesting. We've got some pie charts that actually show you roughly at a high level the credibility and diversity of sources students are using. And so it begins to get a little bit into media literacy, which is something that we're planning to do more of in the future with a source evaluation tool that's on our roadmap. At a class level, you can look at this top graph here, and it shows at kind of a 10,000 foot level where the whole class is in terms of who's on target and off target for different steps in the process. And the nice thing about this is that you can click on any one of these bars and see the students that make it up, so you know where to target your conversations with students that might be sort of struggling, procrastinating, falling behind for whatever reason. And then the last thing I'll point out is this middle graph, which is a great segue into the topic of AI plagiarism. We realized very early after ChatGPT launched that this new challenge to the writing process that, frankly, a lot of educators have been concerned about for the past couple of years, was going to be a big deal. And what we saw, very understandably, was that everybody thought that the way that problem was going to get solved was using AI detectors. And I think by now everybody knows that those things have proven to be pretty unreliable and manipulable. But we realized very quickly that the reason why those things struggle is because detectors really rely on the end work product, right? Because you feed the paper to the detector and then hope that it'll give you an accurate answer. But we saw very early on lots of false positives and negatives, and lots of examples of that over the last couple of years. We thought, well, geez, actually, if it's instead of looking at the end work product, you actually look at the whole work stream, i.e. you treat writing as a process, which is what good English teachers have always asked us to do anyway, this should be a much more solvable problem. And so that's been our approach to solving this problem. And this graph actually helps teachers and librarians see that process unfold over time. So this graph actually shows you time spent on task throughout the pre-writing process. You can see here that right now we're showing research, analysis, synthesis, and writing, and we actually have a new category for the new AI chatbot that we've embedded, so you can see if students are actually using AI as part of that pre-writing process as well. But the way that this helps is that if you as a librarian are looking at this and say, okay, I see really no activity going on until the very end when all of a sudden there's a spike in writing, that would be a red flag that might have been a copy and paste job out of ChatGPT or another chatbot. And so that's a quick way to kind of describe it. In the interest of time, because I'm going to run out here in about 2 minutes, I'm not going to play this video testimonial, but I wanted to make sure that you all knew that we are very excited about working with you all, because we already work with librarians in Wisconsin, and this is Emily Leonard from Menominee Falls High School there in Wisconsin. She has a brief sort of 30-second testimonial video that I'll also share with Jeff. Maybe he can share it out in the follow-up email to this. And I believe it's also listed on our page in on the WiLS website. So we've kind of already talked about this at a high level. I won't kind of go into this in a lot of detail, other than to say that AI plagiarism is kind of a widespread challenge right now to authentic learning. There's been studies that show that students unfortunately kind of end up not really exercising critical thinking, or they really kind of do a lot of what they call cognitive offloading to the chatbot and become over-reliant upon it. And so our solution is to really kind of shift the assessment of writing. And one thing I'll say about this that's really interesting is that, even if detectors worked 100%, right, even if they were rock solid, the challenge is they're still playing cop at the end of the process. And our approach is a paradigm shift. We're actually saying that instead of trying to sort of play cop at the end of the process, why don't we give students the tools to be able to support them through that pre-writing process, through that research and writing process. And by doing so, you're actually helping them and scaffolding them to basically do a better job. Because the reality is, today, with AI detectors as a shortcut, students are tempted to take the shortcut, if not because they themselves want to take it, they might be tempted because they might see their classmates taking it. And what we're trying to do here is really say, look, if we can actually basically give them tools to make it a lighter lift and make it easier to do the right thing, then they might be a little less tempted. And you're kind of tipping the scales in favor of doing the responsible thing and doing the right thing. And I guess I'll just close by saying this. That in our approach to solving the AI plagiarism problem, again, we're really emphasizing and shifting emphasis to writing as a process. And so we've been preaching process over product now for a couple of years. And when students are going through that workflow, you saw on the previous slide that we help them curate their sources, annotate their evidence, cite their sources, build an outline, build a bibliography, begin to write a draft, and all that is being made visible to you in their library and through the data. And so the short way to describe our approach to solving that problem is that we're able to do for writing what we've always asked students to do in math, which is show your work. And that's something that people can understand very quickly and easily, and educators have said really works for them. And again, in the interest of time, I won't show this video, but maybe I'll include this link as well for Jeff to share a little bit later. It's a video from a teacher that we work with in Utah who just basically says that, what I'm telling you, but in her words, which is better, that when she works with students, she can see the students' sort of writing process unfold. She can see the evidence. She can see how that goes into an outline, etc. I'm out of time, so I'm not going to kind of hit on the last thing, which is really how we can help you adopt AI responsibly. I'll just maybe make a quick screenshot flow here, or screenshot show here, which is that we have created a new embedded chatbot within our platform called Reese. It really allows students to be able to converse with their sources that they've curated. So from the previous screenshot, you might have remembered that this is your library, and we have a right sidebar under our new design where Reese is actually shown, and students can use that chatbot through this prompt field here to ask questions about the sources that they've curated. And there's a lot more to say about this, but I'll just basically say that the way that we've built this, it really solves some big problems that educators and AI literacy advocates have had with students using consumer chatbots. And so we basically sort of productized, if you will, or built into this new chatbot, Reese, responsible use. And so it significantly reduces hallucination. It gives students the ability to properly cite generative AI. It automatically includes references so that fact checking that the chatbot is telling you the right thing is built right in with one click. And most importantly, Reese is a walled garden. So it only answers questions based on the sources in the library. It doesn't answer based on its general knowledge base of the internet as a whole. And so people have said that this is great because it really provides a walled garden and a safer sort of experience for putting AI in the hands of students, which we know has been a concern really for the past couple of years. So maybe I'll just leave it there. We would love to be able to work with you, and I will share a link with Jeff a little bit later, but I wanted to maybe also put it into the chat here, which is that we have a little form that you can enter some information about to work with us a little bit later if you'd like to do that and learn more about Scribble and Reese. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Victor, for joining us. Always very happy to have you here and see what's new. We will for sure include all those links that you mentioned so folks can take advantage of that stuff after the session.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to move right along to our next presenter, Andrea, coming to us from ConnectWell for another update on what's happening over there. Hello, Andrea. Are you ready to jump in?
Yes, let me make sure give me a second here so I can share my screen. And great. You can see my screen now?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for having me, Jeff, and being back here on Taco Tuesday. My name is Andrea Bloom, and I'm the founder of ConnectWell, and we're going to talk about why ConnectWell is an essential health resource for libraries. We've been working with WiLS for several years now. We just onboarded Chilton Public Library yesterday from Wisconsin. So first, why is ConnectWell necessary? The U.S. healthcare system is struggling to provide adequate care to our population that is experiencing a decline in mental and physical health and overall well-being. More people they say they are not taking care of their health, and high healthcare costs and a lack of health information are both responsible. Only 12% of US adults have proficient health literacy, and that's why the library is the perfect place to help people with this very important skill. And as we know, it's in the news all over that there have been significant cuts to healthcare funding, Medicaid, the Children's Health Insurance Program, and the Affordable Care Act, with the premiums going up significantly. So we're going to go into why using free resources is problematic. So we've heard some of this from Victor Karkar of Scribble just now. So I'm going to build on some of what Victor just said. So first of all, that after online shopping, the second most prominent reason people go to the internet is to find health information. And people are now using AI for health information. Often libraries are using Medline Plus, but it's no longer a comprehensive health and wellness resource. It limits information on populations, specifically for women's health and the LGBTQ community. Also, there's change in the US vaccine policy. So there's the vaccine recommendations on Medline Plus are coming from the CDC, which is no longer the standard of care according to reputable associations like the American Academy of Pediatrics and the American Academy of Family Practitioners. Other sites are reputable, but it's not the full suite of information. There's lots of advertising and links that pop the user out that's very hard to use. Let's talk about the risk of searching for health information on the internet and using AI. So the internet serves up information based on advertising placement, and that leaves people very vulnerable to what those advertisers are putting first. If you type in a query on the internet, back pain, you'll get over 1 billion hits. But where's the right answer for you? And that's the problem. In terms of artificial intelligence, these platforms scrape information off the internet without substantiating whether or not that is accurate or quality or even up to date. So if you were going to do a query on, well, what vaccine should I get for my newborn? You don't know where that information is coming from. So what it does is both of these types of searching for health information leaves people vulnerable to misleading and confusing health information, misdiagnosis, limited health information, medical advertising, and basically leaving a digital tattoo of what you're putting on the internet. That is now on the internet. So you're exposing your own personal health searches. Let's talk about how ConnectWell compares to other health databases. So ConnectWell is very user-friendly. It's designed for consumers. We have articles and videos. It's written in the 7th grade reading level. Any medical terms are explained in plain text. We focus on whole person health and for the entire family. So healthcare is not just health conditions, it's lifestyle medicine. 70% of chronic preventable illness is driven by unhealthy lifestyles, and we have a whole collection around this. As we've been hearing lots in the news, food is medicine, and that's why we have a healthy recipe collection. We source our content from trusted health institutions. We have multilingual capability. It's maintained and kept current, and we're so much more than a database. ConnectWell supports the mission of libraries by helping you provide updated science-based information to your patrons, but also enabling health programs. So I'm going to get into what that looks like, and I'm going to do a demo of ConnectWell for you. So here we are on Mead Public Library's website, which is a Wisconsin library. If we go under resources, we'll find ConnectWell, and here we are. So all you do is click, and there we have ConnectWell. So as I said, we cover whole person health. We have I'm just trying to get my screen to open up a little bit better here. We have health information library, wellness initiatives, and healthy recipe collection. So as you can see here, ConnectWell covers all sorts of health conditions, and it's very easy to use with the icons to find what you're looking for, or you can type in a keyword. So here's where you would find information on diabetes and pre-diabetes, but if you didn't know where to find pre-diabetes, you could type in the keyword, and you can see here there are 20 results. We can watch a video and learn from a UC San Francisco endocrinologist. You'll probably be able to spend more time with the doctors here than your own. And the idea is you can get up to speed on your health care condition, on a new diagnosis, and do that research and make your short, brief time with your doctor most effective. Again, this is all science-based. We pay for a license to incorporate next content in our site. We also have standard of care articles where we will do research and source from those institutions to provide our customers with the most updated for developing those healthy habits. We have our wellness initiative section. So if you wanted to work on sleep, this is where you'd go. So these are smaller articles broken into steps. So here we look at the importance of sleep, why sleep matters. It's not something to shortchange yourself on. And then you might go to this article down here. Well, what are sleep requirements for adults? Again, this is sourced from the National Sleep Foundation, providing you with the recommended sleep ranges. But what's important is being able to answer those questions is, if I'm getting exhausted, well, something's going wrong here. And so that's where you can learn to develop the sleep hygiene that we've outlined here in these different articles to help you start on your journey for improving sleep. So you can see here, these are all sort of a connected collection of articles to help people develop those healthy habits. So we have that on all of these healthy habits here: healthy eating, staying active, weight management, musculoskeletal health, managing stress, happiness. There's a loneliness epidemic in this country. This is where you'd focus on that: resilience and maternal health, preparing for pregnancy, wellness during pregnancy, and thrive postpartum. The last collection is our healthy recipe collection, which focuses on healthy eating, and we embed nutrition science inside our recipes to teach people the foundation of food as medicine. So here you can see we are describing what the hero ingredient is: barley, why barley is so wonderful, and all the nutrients and vitamins inside of barley. We also help people source the ingredients, and I want to point this out. We're pointing out when to buy organic and when, because to reduce your exposure to pesticide. It's been discovered through lots of research that pesticides can increase cancer risk. So we're helping our customers learn that. I wanted to point that out. Everything's connected. So if you wanted to understand when to buy conventional, when to buy organic, I typed in the Dirty Dozen. We update this every year. It's sourced from the Environmental Working Group, which does studies on which fruits and vegetables are grown with heavy pesticide use to help you protect yourself from that. So that's the brief demo. I'm going to go back to the presentation and let you know how ConnectWell is so much more than a database and how we're different than Gale and EBSCO. So we provide extensive program support, training, and marketing communications. Each month, we have a monthly staff newsletter that shares ideas for engaging patrons in ConnectWell, and we have our ready-made programs. Each month, we have a monthly health focus This last month, we were focused on addiction. This next month, we're focused on weight management. We have a template on each topic to use in communications and to have ready-made events at your library. We have wellness challenges that are turnkey healthy lifestyle programs for libraries to facilitate easily. This program, which I'll show you briefly, was tested through Let's Move in Libraries, and that's the reason why Chilton Library from Wisconsin just onboarded with ConnectWell because they had such a great experience with this program. And Rebecca Berry, who's the library director there, said that our materials enabled her to smoothly deliver the programs. She said it was so easy to do, and it gave her the opportunity to offer much more at her library. We also have a full calendar of direct-to-patron virtual programs led by ConnectWell team members. So each month we have 4 programs, and libraries. We in our monthly newsletter we have all the program listings. So all libraries have to do is copy and insert right into their calendar. I'm going to show you briefly here a little bit about the Let's Move in Libraries pilot we did, and you can find this on the Let's Move in Libraries website. So Let's Move in Libraries is a nonprofit founded by Noah Lenstra out of UNC Greensboro, and he was very excited to learn more about ConnectWell and then test ConnectWell at the library. So we were able to run our pilot with libraries across the country with very good success using our materials. So I just wanted to point this out as a resource so you can learn more about ConnectWell and really understand how we are so much more than a database. 80% of healthcare happens outside of a doctor's office, which is why the library is the perfect place to deploy health literacy and health programming. ConnectWell is a valuable resource across so many library service areas. It's not just an electronic resource like other health and wellness databases. It's great for adult services, for youth services, for programming. If you have a telehealth space, this is a great resource to put on the computer in the telehealth space. For the library experience lead, outreach librarian, for social work, we have so many great articles that will help the social worker help those patrons that they're helping with their issues. Community resource coordinator and volunteer services. And onboarding work. Pricing is based on population served. Onboarding is very quick. We have an initial brief meeting. We talk about where it's best to put ConnectWell on. We follow up with a site link that enables a library to put it on their site very easily, and then we provide staff training. So that completes my session. I just wanted to end with ConnectWell's digital resource and program elements form a robust offering that scales health literacy and puts healthy lifestyle practice into action, helping build library, and we look forward to serving you.
Thank you again so much for joining us, Andrea. It's always nice to hear from you. I'm very fascinated with ConnectWell. And I always like that you come on because you always tie what you're offering to current events, things
Yes.
happening in the world around us today. And I think that you and I are very much on the same wavelength about those things. So it's always nice to see that too. And you're spot on what the gaps that you're able to fill and things that you're able to supplement that might be lacking from other previously very reliable sources. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you
Thank
very much, Jeff. And
you.
that's why we say it's an essential resource. It's so important right now. People are making critical health decisions without full information, and that can be very dangerous.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Thanks again for being here with us.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to take us over to our next presenter very quick, but I always like to start with a clean screen. So coming to us for I think the second time, or at least a repeat visit, we're very happy to have Jesse Berg to talk to us again about Outgrow Your Garage. Jesse, are you ready to take over?
Yeah, I can do it.
Great.
So yeah, welcome. I am Jessie Berg, the founder of Outgrow Your Garage, and we do online and business education support, specifically focusing on small businesses, community-oriented businesses, businesses that typically aren't what we'd consider investable in a lot of traditional senses, but the ones that really make a community, right? Whether that's a coffee shop, whether that's your local plumber, whether that's the local artists in your community, but the ones that really come and help be a part of that thriving community. We often find that one of the very first places that many business owners start is with their local library, right? What are those resources for how do you start a business? How do you grow your business? And what do you even do to get that started? So Outgrow Your Garage is designed to help you help those patrons. And I'm going to share my screen here. So we do that in a couple of different ways. One is we offer business courses, we offer workshops, we do lots of different speaking organizations, lots of different speaking engagements, and we work all over the local spectrum. We work with community organizations, government, schools, and libraries, which is why we're here today. So our key offering for libraries is our online course platform. And this platform is a little bit different than other online course platforms, right? You might be familiar with LinkedIn Learning or Coursera, some of these bigger, more corporate learning entities. There's a couple of things that make ours different. One is we focus really hard on the user experience. This is our English platform. We will be releasing a Spanish platform, totally in Spanish, a little bit later this year. And so we will be offering the exact same programming, same courses, same setup, same everything in English and Spanish. So you will be able to offer the exact same programming with the same setup. So it makes it very easy for your librarians to be able to find things in those platforms, regardless of what language they speak, regardless of what language your patrons speak, as long as they speak English or Spanish. We aren't set up for other languages just yet. The other thing that's different is we organize things by what someone has taken recently, but then also by topic. The other way that people can find courses is through our course exploration tool. And our course exploration tool is set up to be effectively like an organized flowchart, right? So if you don't necessarily know what something's called, great, I want to get better at my sales. Okay, these are the courses that cover that. So it is set up exactly for people who aren't really sure what they need, but they kind of know what the outcome needs to be. They know what they need in their business. When someone goes into a course, they can always see exactly what is in it. Every course is downloadable. Every course has hands-on activities, and every course has small, short modules that can be downloaded and can be done on the go. So this programming is very, very much set up to fit into someone's life. So they can download as a transcript, they can download as an audio, they can download the video with or without subtitles. Another crucial thing about these courses is for our library patrons, the login system can tie in directly to your online platform already, and the way that your patrons are accessing online materials. And we save none of their information. So if somebody logs in with their library card and their library password, we create a token in our system, and they are entirely managed by their token. The other thing that's true is if somebody goes into using the activities, this is a budgeting course, so it's a budgeting spreadsheet. They can either download this file as an Excel file, they could download it as a PDF if they wanted to, they can download it however they want, or they can make a copy in their own Excel or Google Doc, right? And then they own that data, they have access to it. We do not retain any information about your patrons' businesses. We do not retain any information about what they're doing beyond the progress that they've made in the platform, which again is only tied to the library token. The other thing that's true is all of them are short. So this module for thinking about a business budget is 5 minutes and 11 seconds long. So it can be worked through very, very easily. And then there are also examples. Each of these example businesses, we have a gardening business, a moving business, and a painting business. and they all operate at varying levels of technology. So our focus in creating examples is how do you present this information to your patrons, regardless of the level of technical comfort they're in. So our painting business runs their business largely off a notebook in a pickup truck. They frequently decide to apply the content for things like, oh, great, I'm going to save all my receipts and write them down at the end of the week, right? Or they'll decide, okay, I'm going to think about getting an email or claiming my Google business page for my business. Our gardening business is kind of in the middle in terms of technology. They communicate with their clients through email. They communicate with virtual invoice. They send their invoices online. They take credit cards, but a lot of the communication with their clients still happens face to face or over the phone. The moving business really operates wholly online and is a good model for somebody who's looking at something like e-commerce. So we're really focused on that technical assistance. From the librarian side, this short setup and the way this operates means any one of these modules, because for a total amount of time in this, you can play that 5-minute module. Each of these videos are about a minute long. So this one is 53 seconds. And you can do that as a library adult services program, right? So you could say, we're going to have a lunch and learn. We're going to go every Wednesday for an entire month. We're going to go through one module. It's going to be a 40-minute program. We'll watch these videos and then we'll make sure everybody is able to have the spreadsheet downloaded, and you can help people. So it rolls in very nicely with existing programs and with existing ability of people to work with patrons. The other thing that is true is Outgrow Your Garage also offers 1 hour a month for anybody who's a subscriber for us to help provide some of that technical assistance. So it could be us running a virtual webinar. It could be us working with your adult services patrons to help them figure out how to use the programming. It could be helping with some planning, but you get a little bit of our time to help figure out how to better support the business owners in your community. The other thing that comes with subscriptions is we offer a whole marketing section on our website that lets you pull any of the information you want. So we have our workshop catalog here. We have summaries in different lengths about how our programs are. If you're working with either myself or Michelle, who teaches a lot of our programming, you have our bio options right here. You have headshots, you have logos, so you can really pull any of that information for very, very easy marketing. We also have a sheet of social media templates where you can start pulling that information to make for easy marketing. So our goal is to make this be as easy a lift for you as possible in order to help the patrons, so you can spend more time working with patrons, less time figuring out how to work with individual programs. The other thing that is a good resource for both you and your patrons, which is free, is our YouTube channel. We have a couple of videos in here about entrepreneurship. Sometimes we have workshops, but every week we do a live segment on Wednesdays about what's going on. So we've done one on youth entrepreneurship and money management. We've done one on the landscaping industry and what it's like to run a statewide organization in a really big, diverse area. This particular one was based in Colorado. And then we're talking specifically about rural economic development tomorrow, Wednesday, January 28th at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, which is 11 a.m. Central. So if you are interested in learning more of any of those things, I will drop these links in the chat of how to get a hold of me, as well as the YouTube channel. And that is what I have for you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Jesse, for showing us around a little bit. I really am impressed with the marketing support that you're offering to libraries. That's so critical for our members to be able to make sure that their patrons know the resources that are available. I mean, it's obviously good for you too. You want to see usage of the resources that they're licensing from you, but I think everybody genuinely believes that these resources that our libraries provide are good and powerful tools for the patrons, but none of that matters if they don't know about it, right? So I'm always in favor of our vendor partners providing robust tools to help get the word out, and it looks like you are. So that's really great. I haven't seen any questions come in, but of course, I will say to not only about Outgrow Your Garage, but about all of our vendors who presented today. If you're watching this on recording, you've got questions, please do reach out to us. You can reach out to us here at WiLS, of course, but in the email that you probably got this recording link on, there should also be contact information there as well. Thanks again, Jesse, for showing us around Outgrow Your Garage, and I see Andrea's still here too. So thank you both again for participating today on Taco Tuesday. All right, let me share my screen just to get us kind of closed up for today. Thank you to everyone who has attended, whether you're here live or if you are watching this on the recording after the fact. If you have questions, as I said, about anything you saw today or anything to do with WiLS Cooperative Purchasing, please do email us. The best way to reach us is by email, and that's at coop, C-O-O-P, coop@wils.org. If it's about something you saw here on Taco Tuesday, if we can't answer it, we will 100% get you in touch with Andrea or Jesse or anybody else who might be able to answer your questions. If you're looking for demos, trials, pricing, any of that stuff, you can always come to us here at WiLS. We have we're up and running. We're rolling now. So our next Taco Tuesday will be February 10th. That's 2 weeks from today. So we hope that you'll join us for another Taco Tuesday session then. And that's it. Thanks again to our presenters, and I hope everyone has a great afternoon and stays warm and stays safe. Take care. Bye all.